Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Ronan Nazarene Talks. I am Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films.
And I'm Nazarene Prod from Nazarene Prod Productions or whatever.
So today we're going to talk about more Bergman, and we're going to talk about the Faith Trilogy, which is made up, strangely enough, of 3 films: Through a Glass Darkly, Winter Light, and The Silence.
Yes. I was letting you actually finish before I started interrupting you.
That's fine.
Now these are all pretty much these are very kind of short films. I mean, they're all about an hour and a half. One of them's even an hour 20, so they're not like epic. There's a lot packed into them. There's a lot of things going on in them, and they have a massive influence on a lot of directors over time, because I mean, Winter Light was a big influence in First Reformed, which just came out and got a lot of good reviews by Paul Schrader.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention that because while I was watching it, I was just getting First Reformed pretty much everywhere. So
yeah, but then again, I also felt like it was a very different film at the same time. It was like there'd been influences, but it went a totally different direction ultimately. It was just like there was little bits and bobs he was influenced by, but he took it its own direction, so it didn't really feel like it was... See, that's the thing. If someone's influenced by something, if they're lazy about it, it annoys me. But if they're not, it's fine. Because everyone's influenced. But I also get the vibes from The Silence or The Shining, wandering around that hotel, and so it's like it wasn't just Schrader.
Also, Bergman, I think, was influenced by Last Year in Marienbad, which was the year before, or the couple of years before, on the Silence, and it's that kind of Baroque hotel kind of look as well. Yeah,
but he also looked at Antonioni films as well, going around at the time.
Yeah.
So La Ventura was coming out around about then as well, so it was something it was going on, really. Yeah. And Through Glass Darkly is a bunch of people in an unlimited location, which has been done so many times. It's like countless low budget films have done this kind of setup as well, and it feels like something that's very theatrical based. So
yeah, well, obviously Bergman pretty much had this system once he got his film career going of he would do theatre runs in the winter and then shoot films during the summer, a lot of the time with theatre actors.
Yep. So he
was a busy man.
He had it well kind of worked out.
Yeah.
He kept working, really.
Yes, it was productive. So we start with Through a Glass Darkly.
Well, yeah, I mean, unless you want to start backwards, but it's really be confusing, just to make people have to work for it.
If you like.
No, I was joking.
Well, they're all from the early 60s, so Through a Glass Darkly is 1961. And again, as Nazarene mentioned, it's just a film with 4 characters on an island. Originally, they had actually scouted the Orkneys for the shoot, but they actually found Faroe, which ended up being pretty much Bergman's island, where he spent his retirement in his latter years.
So in other words, what you're saying is he could retire to the Orkneys?
He could have retired to the Orkneys.
Yeah.
But once they found Faroe and that kind of the beaches and the rocks, I think he fell in love with that, obviously, because he spent a lot of years there. Stars Max von Sydow, Gunnar Bjornstrand, Harriet Andersson, who had kind of disappeared from acting from her early Bergman films, but in a bit of perfect casting, he brought Harriet Andersson back. And again, it's just a small film.
One?
Sorry?
Who's the 4th actor?
Lars Paskard.
Wow, well
who
done.
Was a theatre actor who Bergman obviously had worked with before. And it's essentially a father, his kids, and the husband of his daughter.
Yeah.
And the daughter has had an illness, and it's pretty much how they interact with each other as events unfold.
Yes. And we should say that it's got a lot to do with the existence. What was it? So how do you contemplate the world and all its problems within our world of God? It's the first part of the Faith Trilogy, but it's the idea in this one, I think, really is how does God exist in our life, and it's basically by love and by kindness, and how hard it is to actually have that, and how hard it is to keep it.
Yes, really. And also love the fact there's also a second plot which would kind of appear in a lot of Bergman films. Gunnar Bjornstrand's character's a writer, so there's this kind of underlying subplot about the artist and the role of the artist, and how artists sometimes use their life and the struggles of their family or whatever as their art, but still trying to keep a distance. So Bergman's always interested in the role of the artist, and can you have a family life, or do you have to sacrifice that for your art?
Yeah, and also our artists total dicks.
Yes,
because that's heavily implied about this guy, that he's fairly difficult to deal with and fairly selfish and self-absorbed and to the detriment of others. And there's also a suggestion going throughout is like this illness is in the genes, so the son's also fairly sensitive, and you feel he could go off as well at some point.
And the mother, we learned, has died, and then later in the film, spoilers, she may have had the same issues as the daughter.
Yep. And yet also because the father's so neurotic as well and weird, it's like two people mating who are both like not exactly the sanest people, so you're going to give the offspring not the best chance of being sane, shall we say.
Yes.
So
was this, am I right, is this like one of the first collaborations with Sven Nykvist for cinematography? He changed his cinematographer to Nyquist, who obviously would then go on and pretty much be his main cinematographer. So it's absolutely beautiful.
Yep. This was the first Bergman film I actually saw. I saw this in BBC 2 years ago when they were doing a season. So this was the first one.
That might have been the first time I was exposed to Bergman on that BBC 2 season as well.
Yeah. So this was the first one. I'm glad it was Through Glass Darkly, because Through Glass Darkly has lots of themes, but it's also fairly simple in how it presents the themes. It's got a good story, and it's to the point, and it's not self-involved in any way. It's an hour and a half long, that's it, and it's got a simple story, but you have lots of themes going through it that you can appreciate, but you don't actually have to dig too deeply.
Plus, the characters are really engaging, and for me, you're kind of hooked into those characters fairly early on. So it's a kind of, it is an accessible film, even though there's kind of bigger themes going on, but the characters, because there only is 4, they're much more approachable and kind of engaging.
Yeah, and also because there's only 4 of them, you can actually see different sides of the characters. So it's not just you get one aspect of them and then that's all you get. You actually get the good and bad in all the characters. You're not just getting a kind of simplistic thing. Like the father is complicated. Yes, he's self-involved. Yes, he's selfish. But he means well. He actually does care about his children. He just he doesn't know how to deal with them though.
Yeah, he doesn't have the mechanisms to actually do it. So it's not as if he's just thoroughly unlikable. You still kind of are interested in him. Yeah.
It's just like that's his flaw of character. That's his character flaw. Like he feels that probably the wife dealt with the children more than he did until she fell ill, and he was just the guy off to the side, and suddenly had to deal with these children. And he doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah, he's always off travelling, and the kind of inference is he's always away far too long, and he's always away longer than he says he'll be away. So there's little kind of nuanced moments where you kind of get that impression that the kids are actually quite annoyed sometimes when he says, "Oh yeah, I'll be back in like a couple of weeks," and he's obviously back like months later.
Yeah, he's actually avoiding them. He's scared of them, and he's avoiding them, and he's scared of the actual problem of dealing with these children that he doesn't know how to deal with. There's also a nice suggestion throughout it is he's a writer, but had an early success, but he might not be as good a writer as he'd hoped to be. He may be a bit facile when he's
not kind of prolific. You almost feel like he maybe stumbled into that success rather than he's just this natural talent.
Yeah, and he might not be that good. He just follows the same theme again and again. So he's like repeating the same thing again and again, and it's a sense that it's diminishing returns. It's like he hasn't found anything beyond what he initially stumbled upon years ago, and he's still going through the same themes, and to a degree that's not very enriching for anybody.
Yeah, and again, he's pretty much using his daughter's illness for the idea of a book. So again, it's that artist's responsibility of, are you using your own family tragedy to pretty much sell books?
Yeah, and also the fact that his daughter finds that out, but you suspect she always kind of figured that out already.
Yeah.
But she's got the confirmation. But again, because he's always away, it suggests that he has always been away, probably causing havoc for her. But the fact is, she gets a lot worse when he returns. Yeah. So interacting with him actually may bring up the stuff that is causing her problems. He may be one of the problems.
Yeah, and I don't think he has much of a relationship with his son at all. And of course, the son is kind of prolific. He writes like poems and plays, and there's one moment where the father asks the son, how many have you written this summer? And it's like 13 plays and stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously, and the father struggles to like squeeze one book out.
Yeah, and his son throws them away. He says, "They're crap. They're just nothing." But he basically just starting. He's just figuring it out basically at the moment. He's just writing a lot of stuff to gain some experience of writing.
Yeah, but he can produce kind of large volumes of work.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it might not be good work, but he can do it. He's a lot of enthusiasm for it. You don't know if he's going to go that direction or not, but you can. He doesn't seem to be the sinister elements, at least yet, of his father, but that could come later on.
Yeah. I mean, apparently Bergman was going to take a year off to study Bach, which he never did, but he got into chamber music, so that was kind of the idea of cutting down the cast, only having 4, so you can really concentrate on the characters. Yeah. I mean, the characters are really well written in this because obviously there's only 4 of them.
It's kind of interesting watching though, as Von Sydow has the least character of the 4. Like his big actor is actually the one with the character that's the solid one. He's very defined. He's very good stuff in it, but it's not the showy part. It's the part that you need a good actor to pull off and make interesting, because
we'll maybe come to that in another film in the series.
Yeah. But I mean, Von Sydow is kind of he actually does have one of the harder parts though, because he actually has to do something that's another actor could make boring.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially the voice of reason, but he doesn't do it in a kind of preachy, stoic, I'm the voice of reason character. He's still well-rounded, and he also gives a really good performance.
Yeah, because he even says, "I'm not as smart as you, all of you, but I can actually just notice what's going on. I'm observant. I can observe the basic stuff, and this is obviously happening."
Yeah, that's how I feel about other YouTubers.
What?
I'm not as smart as all of you, and I just observe.
Right.
I'm Max von Sydow.
All right. Alright, so you're saying I'm Harry Anderson going mad?
Yes, you're either Harry Anderson or Gunnar Bjornstrand.
Oh, thank you very
Take
much.
Your pick.
Thank you very much. I'll be Harry Anderson. That seems more like me.
Can we talk about her performance?
Yeah.
Because like I said, she did a couple of early Bergmans, like Summer with Monica, but then she'd kind of disappeared. I think she'd married a farmer or something. Yeah. And then Bergman, who I don't think Bergman gets enough credit for knowing which actress is actually the best for the role. I'm sure he could have picked, one of his other actresses, but Harry Anderson is just amazing in this film.
Yeah, she really is good. It's funny because you can't really connect her in this film to like Smells of Summer Night, which came earlier.
No.
You know, it's really fascinating because this is basically your character in the film. This is the character that you follow. Ultimately, this is the audience character. She's very confused, but even when in her height of madness, she still has some logic to her. She still understands she's going mad. She understands the mechanisms of it all. Like, she's still a capable person, but she knows there's a problem in her head, which makes her more sympathetic because she's trying, but it's just not working for her. So it gives you the idea the disease is much more brutal than you'd think it would be. Because
plus there's no scenery chewing. You know, people, actors who do mad parts, obviously there's a tendency to like just overdo it, but it's still very believable and very realistic as far as I know. Not that I've got much experience of madness.
Oh, sure. Tell yourself that.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing in this film, and it's just so sympathetic and so. It's kind of heartbreaking because you can see potential in her, and it's just not working. And she's trying her hardest, but there's something in her head that doesn't work.
Yeah, because like I said, because you're hooked so early, you do root for her, and you do kind of want her to get better, but
it's not going to happen. But also her relationship with her brother is very kind of disturbing and incestuous, ultimately.
Yes, there's an amazing scene in a shipwreck, not only kind of from a cinematography point of view and shot composition point of view, but just the tone is just an amazing sequence of scenes.
Yeah, it's also the thing I like, see when she starts to go mad and you start to see the world from her point of view of God coming through the door. The way it's shot, you can feel it from her point of view. It's not just a bunch of special effects. It's like it's what she feels is what's important, and that's what they're trying to get across. It's not that it's real; it's just what she feels is real and how it affects her, and that's, I think, is much more effective than any sort of special effect would be. It's much more closer to like Repulsion would be, rather than someone going absolutely crazy in a movie.
Because I mean, I don't know whether it's just me, but I don't think Bergman gets enough credit for being a visual director. I think he gets lots of credit for obviously his big ideas and his scripts and whatever, but this film really shows off through simple setups. There's no kind of great big tricks or anything, but he is a visual director as well, which I think is underrated.
Also, I think his use of sound is underrated because the soundtrack in this film is really good, and it varies. It also gives you the sense of environment beyond just the imagery that it's so well done. It's always been thought through.
Yeah,
and I think it's been very underrated. But also, like, the idea of God being a spider, that was pretty creepy. I remember that was one of the things I remembered from watching it when I was younger. So I thought it was a creepy idea, and it's still a creepy idea. It's still just really weird and unsettling. Yeah,
because does she not say it had a face as well?
Yeah, and it's just it's one of those images that's so much more disturbing than you get in most films. It's cause that's what I like about Bergman. He's got the thing that David Lynch has, is like he's kind of vague but specific at the same time. He doesn't throw everything at you, but he gives you these little details that ring true to you and makes it all the creepier and more creepier. And also he relies on actors to bring you most of the way there in atmosphere.
Because I mean, the kind of setup of her kind of being prone on the floor and then Max von Sydow sitting behind her on a chair with a window. I mean, it's a really nice composition.
I mean, that's another thing, is that's why von Sydow played that part so important. You need someone who obviously loves her but he's repressed, but you need someone so good that can show all those details that makes it important, makes the relationship important, even when it could look a bit obvious. It just isn't, because it's complicated the way people's lives are complicated.
Yeah.
So Through Glass Darkly is a pretty stunning opening to a trilogy. It's still one of my favourite of Bergman films. This is one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's one of mine again. It's one that you can watch over and over again. It did win the 1962 Oscar the year after he won for Virgin Spring, so
yeah,
not that that's a guide of quality, but
but he did well. In rewards for this one. It is one of those ones that's maybe underrated compared to some of the other films he made that got...
Yeah, it's not as... showy is not the right word, but you know what I mean. It's not as maybe expansive just because it is 4 people on an island. But again, because the characters are engaging and you're hooked in to them, it is just a riveting film.
It doesn't have that hook of, oh, it's a knight playing chess with death or something.
Yeah.
Or scenes from a marriage. It's about a marriage. It's just 4 people on an island, so it's hard to hook people in to...
I mean, for... Obviously, Bergman's hugely influential, but for people of how do we do small budget, small number of actors, but make it fantastic? And it's like, that's the blueprint for it.
Yeah. And it's something no one follows because they go to much more for plot or something rather than this is the story. The story is the people.
Yeah, because let's be honest, not a lot of kind of big things happen, but it's all in the character, it's all in the relationship between each other, the dynamics, the scenes with the son and the daughter together. There's a great scene with Max von Sydow and Gunnar Bjornstrand on a boat, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story of someone going mad and how it affects their family. That's it. That's it. It's a very simple setup, but it is very wonderful. So we're now on to Winter Light, which we pointed out earlier that First Reformed was very influenced by. But this is a even sparer film than First Reformed, which was a pretty spare film. This one is uber spare. This is the, when people talk about Bergman being a bit austere, this is the film they're probably talking about. This is probably the closest he gets to a kind of Bresson movie.
Yeah.
Really. This is like... there's more characters than Through Glass Darkly, but there's only really a few characters that are actually important, so in some ways it's more focused on a few people, really. Basically there's 3 central characters. There's the priest, or minister, who is... having a crisis of faith. His wife has died a few years before, and he's very troubled by the world and his place in it. He's got a cold, this is driving him nuts. He's got a lover who wants to marry him, but he doesn't want to marry her, and there's now kind of rumours going around the congregation, which is very small to start with, that they're having an affair. And then finally there's the Max von Sydow character, who's a suicidal guy who doesn't see the point of living in the world.
Yes, because China has the atom bomb now.
Yeah. And they discovered something worse recently than atom bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, they discovered bats.
Yes.
So this is a very simple film. We have to go into spoilers pretty quickly because there's no way to discuss the film without them, really. But it's quite an old film, so I don't think we really need to bother. Because it's much more of a character-based film as well. It's not about plot, ultimately.
I mean, apparently this was Bergman's one of his favourite films and probably his most personal, because Bergman's father was a pastor. So Bergman as a child was kind of dragged around all these churches, and he always kind of saw that dichotomy between the church and all these preachers and sermons, and then he was punished by his father for things when he got home. So it's also that balance of the projection of faith and goodness, and then behind closed doors that's slightly different. So this is probably one of his most personal films.
Yeah. I also really enjoy this film. This is a really good film because you do have sympathy for the minister, but they don't present him as a perfect person. He makes lots of horrible mistakes throughout the film. He's a very flawed character. He's not likeable, really. But
then because he's flawed, I think he is more identifiable rather than being this paragon of goodness and perfection. So there's a way in for the audience to kind of identify with him, because very few of us are perfect.
Well, apart from me.
Apart from you, obviously.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. There is a kind of... You identify him with because of his flaws rather than because of him being a minister. Being a minister, I think, would give you the distance from him. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, it's about a minister, but it's not... That's not the most important thing about the character, really.
Yeah, it's about how he lives and why he lives, basically, and what's his point of life at the moment, and what's it really about for him now.
Yeah,
because his wife died, and he keeps on saying he loved his wife. She was the only one he really loved, and he's keeping his lover from a distance by saying, I don't love you, I loved my wife. But then I've seen some suggestions that he was a bit of a sucker for his wife.
yeah.
And it might not have been as perfect as he has in his head. Maybe the memory of her is actually stopping him from moving on and living his life again.
Yes, the priest played by Gunnar Bjornstrand, again, who's in lots and lots of Bergman films. And Ingrid Thulin plays the school teacher, and she's purposely made dowdy and is always wearing big hats and big scarves and talking about her rashes.
Yes. Yeah. She's a big favourite of yours, isn't she?
Yeah, it's Ingrid Thulin in a slightly different light.
Yep. Yeah, the bit with the rashes and the hands, they look pretty creepy and pretty
Yeah, and lesions and...
Yeah.
So in some level, he's kind of repulsed by her, but obviously at some point in the past he has needed her, even though he kind of rejects her at the same time, so it's like...
Yeah, I think it's a pattern of him doing that, back and forward.
Yeah, it's kind of a passive-aggressive thing.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that this will continue somehow. Like, they're so into each other and so into the dysfunctionality of the relationship. I think there's no way to keep it not going on some way. Like, he'll get weak again, and it just feels very much like a day in the life of this guy and his problems, and he's not going to get any better. Yeah,
plus Bergman kind of makes it so you kind of understand why she's so obsessed with him, even though obviously in a larger populated area she perhaps wouldn't be.
Yeah, there's also she's an atheist as well, which makes it funny. She's going to church, and the thing of this film is it brings up something you forget about Bergman, as he can be funny.
Yeah, he does have a sense of humour.
Yeah, I mean, Through a Glass Darkly and this one, and especially The Silence, are all funny. There's some jokes in them, and Thulin is really funny in this film because she's bitter and sarcastic. She's broken down by life in a lot of ways, but she is kind to lots of people, and she is a really funny character.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be put off by this film if you think, it's just going to be about religion for an hour and a half, because it's not really about that.
It's a backdrop.
Yeah.
It's a spine of his life, but his worries are about life rather than religion.
I mean, it's a film about losing faith, but again, it could be anybody losing faith. It just so happens that Bergman's chosen that milieu.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's even losing faith, it's trying to find a faith in something to keep going despite the fact that life seems to be beating the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Really. It's how do you exist in a world that's... People have lost empathy for each other, people have lost interest in each other. One of the funny things is when the minister asked Van Sydow about his wife, she's okay.
Yeah.
That's it. She's okay. There's not much passion there.
Von Sydow in this film doesn't say a lot. I'm not sure how many lines he has, but he doesn't have a lot of lines. It's more just looks.
Yeah, but he's great in this. I mean, he's so depressed, and you just feel the depression coming off him. And I mean, he does have one scene where he gets to talk a little bit, which is when he finally talks to the minister about the depression and the Chinese and all the nuclear weapons and his problem. He finally gets to talk, but mostly it's looks and just a sense of depression. It's like, as soon as you see him, you know he's a goner.
Yeah.
It's too deep. The depression's too deep. There's no way he'll survive. And which leads to one of the darkly funny things in because once you ask the minister about it, the minister actually starts to ruminate about the reason for living, and he's kind of like, there's no real reason to live.
Yeah.
Which I thought it's very moving but very funny at the same time.
Yes, it's perhaps not the best time to ask the minister about the meaning of life, because he's not in a great place himself.
Yeah, and he's talking about all the mistakes he made, and it's like, it's kind of funny because you're thinking, oh, this is great. This is exactly the kind of mess ups people make in their lives. Like, they say something and they don't think it through, and they realise they've said exactly the wrong thing to someone, and it's like, oh God, what have I done?
Yeah, so it is actually quite a claustrophobic film, even when they're in kind of a large church or even in the schoolroom.
Yeah.
And but then it does open up for one scene outside.
But even wherever you go, you sort of feel it's just other rooms with kind of empty, with a few people trying to make a living with no one's much interest in them. You know, because they'll talk about each other in a way that is like, what can you do for me? It's never like, what can I do for them? It's like, what can you do for me? That's the kind of attitude that most people have in this film.
Yeah.
And he sees that, the minister sees that, and it does obviously get him down. But and the woman, his lover, is one of the few kind people there, which obviously does affect him, but he would never admit it.
Yeah.
So it's complicated, because he is attracted for some reason, but he's so messed up and so in his head about the past and what his reason for being is. You know, he can't see everything clearly.
But the scene when we find out what happens to Max von Sydow is beautiful, the way it's shot.
Yeah. Again, it's always thrown away though, because they just move the body around like it's a...
Yeah, again, that is kind of blackly funny as well.
Yeah, it's like a sack of potatoes with some guy's body, and it's like... And then he goes to tell the family, eventually.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do, so he's just like, do you want to read from the Bible? The wife's like, no, you're alright.
Yeah.
Because he's got no clue of how to actually comfort her.
It does feel like he takes his time to get there as well. Like he's putting it off. He doesn't want to go. It's like he's like a kid who's like, I'm not going to do this until I have to do it.
I just thought that there's a beautiful scene where she says, "Oh, I'll have to go and tell the kids." So he looks from the outside, but he can't even watch her when she says to the kids. He turns away, so he can't even watch from a distance as she tells the kids. And it's beautifully done.
Yeah, he's a man with problems, deep problems. I never thought I'd be laughing as much talking about Winter Light, but there we go.
Yeah.
It's also the bit I really liked when we was talking about him as a young man, how he had big hopes, how he was going to change the world, and how vain he actually was, and the world doesn't really want to be changed. He just has to get on with it, and it's like that's the way a lot of people feel. And it's nice that someone's talking about that, someone who's a failure talks about it, and just the way he talks about it. You know, it's just that this sense of he's in a place that doesn't want people to be big achievers. He just wants them to stay in a place, so he's stuck in his place and he's pretty miserable. Yeah.
But again, from a filmmaking point of view, another thing that I think Bergman's underrated is his economy. The film's like 82 minutes, and if it was 122 minutes, it probably would be too much. But his films are pretty much as long as they have to be. If they're 82 minutes, that's 82 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect length for this. I think if you went too long, you'd start to lose impact, because one of the good things is it's a sense of direction to it below the surface. It's always moving forward. Even though it's about a guy sitting in a room, there's always a sense of him moving forward. He's always moving towards something, even if he's just going round in circles.
So again, kind of new people that are being exposed to Bergman, again, he might seem intimidating because, again, it's a film with 3 people talking or 4 people talking, but there's always something going on, and his films are as long as they need to be. They don't have fat on them particularly.
And you get to see Max von Sydow treated like his dead body treated like a sack of potatoes. I mean, you don't see that very often. You didn't see that in Flash Gordon, really.
next to a tree with a beautiful raging river.
I know it was so darkly funny just the way he did it. It was like I'm glad I wasn't the person who thought it was funny and it's sad at the same time, because it's just his reactions a lot of the time. And the funny thing is, the actor who plays the minister was known for comedy, and that really helped because he could play up the humour without playing the humour. Like, he knew how to be funny without being obviously funny.
Yeah, because Gunnar Bjornsson was the lead in Smiles of a Summer Night.
Yeah, where he was a pompous ass, basically.
Yes.
You know, I mean, but it's good to have someone with comic timing who knew how to do that and actually be funny by being pathetic.
Yes.
And it is a very moving film because it is about someone failing to understand himself, really, or understand where he exists in the world and just making a mess of things.
Yes.
And he's telling people to be kind to each other, but he's not being kind to himself or her. He's just being...
It's actually quite nasty to her at times.
I know, it's like... he's lucky she didn't punch him at certain times.
Yes.
Because he kind of had it coming. So yeah, I mean... Also, we're talking about the idea of the artist. In this one, it's almost like the artist is the minister. The kind of person who is watching the world and interacting with it in some ways but being distanced from it. So instead of creating art, he's giving these sermons about what someone else has written to create an existence for people that most of them don't even really want. They're just there because it's a convention. So
it's... Do you actually believe what you're saying? Do you believe, if you're a creator of art, are you actually genuine about it, or are you just creating it because you know it will sell?
Yeah, and he's no longer genuine. It may have been before, but we don't know. But at this point, he's not, and that's why the congregation's so small. People just can sense he can't be bothered. It's like, I have to go to this place again. I was like, I'm not going to bother. I'm just not going. Because he asked someone later on, like a kid, do you go to church? And are you going to go for the confirmation? Probably not. And he just accepts it. Like, that's the way the world is. It's just like...
he doesn't fight it particularly.
No, it's like... he kind of understands it. Everyone's moved on from what he was, so... It's again a nice sense of humour from Bergman about the way the world has moved on from him, and the way this is like a dying world, really, that is going to have to adapt to something else in some way.
Yeah.
Like, he's the vast vestiges of an older way of doing this that will just change somehow.
Yeah, so again, if you've never seen it before, I would certainly not be put off by what you think the subject matter is, because it's actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's also got really great dialogue. The dialogue is terrific in it throughout.
Yeah, there's some wonderful one-liners in it.
Yeah, and it's also very naturalistic. People react the way people react in life rather than try to be smart asses all the time. It's actually someone grunting about something's actually feels real, but also is hilarious because it resembles something that you'd see a person doing. So it gets you in a bit more. And also, the speech from the letter when she's talking to the camera is terrific. Monologue.
Ballsy just to go, I'm just going to show her speaking to the camera for 5 or 6 minutes.
But it's so good because it really gets you involved in her point of view, and I just thought we have to mention that before we stop this one, because that's
one of the kind of shots that's just amazing.
Yeah.
Because obviously lots of people would do it differently.
Yeah, they'd try and show
with
off.
less impact.
Yeah, because they wouldn't realise someone talking is the... And interesting thing, someone's face as they talk, and as they adjust their expressions to show you a different side of the character is the story.
Yeah, I wonder how many takes they did of that.
I'm guessing not many. I'm pretty sure she rehearsed it a lot before anyone saw it. I kind of get the feeling that Bergman trusted his actors to know what they were doing and left them, gave them some space to do it. Because I heard Harry Anderson talking about him, and she said that he didn't like doing too many takes of anything. He really hated doing it. It was like, if he could get it in 2 takes, he'd be happy.
Because they did rehearsals, I'm sure. So
yeah, But also I think he cast well, and he knew these actors could do it, and he gave them space to actually do it. Like, he gave them trust, really.
Yeah, and again, it's another example of his perfect casting, because obviously he does have a few actresses that he could choose from, so he always generally chooses the right one for the right role.
Yeah.
It's almost as if he's quite good.
Yeah. Amazing that directors know their job. I mean,
yeah,
who'd have thunk it?
We're not used to it these days.
No. Well, apart from Michael Bay.
Yes, he knows exactly who he is.
Alright.
Okay, so we'll move on to The Silence, which is the final part of the trilogy, strangely enough. I believe this was made in 1963. Again, this stars Ingrid Thulin. So it's two sisters and one of their children who are in this strange country. We don't really know what country it is, and they are in this hotel because Ingrid Thulin's character is sick, so they have to kind of stop off. The country that they're in seems to be on the verge of war or during war, so you have this very kind of uncomfortable feeling. There's unbearable heat, and it's how these two sisters interact with each other, and it's really a meditation, I think, on the two sides of the human personality, the analytical, scientifical one, and the kind of more earthy, sexual side. There's not necessarily a plot, it's more an expressionistic film as they kind of interact with some characters in the town and in the hotel. Yeah, that's kind of a rough overview, I think.
Yep, thank you. We should point out that you have different opinions of this film, then, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well just say this is my least favourite out of the three, and I've always personally had a kind of issue getting into the characters, kind of relating to the characters. I do think it's a very good film, but for me personally, I don't really hook into the characters like I did in Through a Glass Darkly and Winterlight. I still think it's a good film, but for me, it's just not as engaging as the other two.
And I think it is as engaging as the other two. Like, I hooked into this. Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting because I saw this. I don't think I knew it was part of a trilogy when I saw it for the first time, really.
Yeah.
Like, 15 years ago or something. I just hooked into it as a story.
Yeah.
And it just really got to me. I find it just wonderful. I just think it's just a wonderful film with interesting characters making lots of mistakes as Bergman likes his characters. And I just like the idea of a lot of it seen through the kids' point of view, and the idea of these people behaving, like fighting between the kind of more animalistic side of their personality and the more humane side, and how that emerges through different characters you see in the hotel as well, and people struggling with themselves, really. So it could literally be two sisters talking, or it could really be about two different sides of personality. It could be either one. But to me, I was engaging. That was enough for me. I really got into that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we do see the kind of adult world through the kid's eyes, through the wee boy's eyes, which is nicely done. And their adult strange behaviour in relation to other people, in relation to how his mother meets strange men in corridors.
Yeah. That was back into the story, and then I found out that I liked the sister who was ill or dying, an idea of mortality and trying to come to terms with her repressions and how messed up she was, but she still tries to be decent throughout it, even though she's making mistakes. She is. You don't get you feel she is jealous of her sister, and there may be issues there, but you also sense that she does care about her sister, but her sister seems to be much harder to deal with, much less likely to talk anything through clearly.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this is one of Bergman's biggest box office successes because it's got nudity in it, which always amused him. Because it was actually quite popular due to the controversy of it. Yeah, it's actually quite interested in the fact that maybe sex sells. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely feel it's had been influenced by like Antonioni and all those Italians, you know, try to make it earthier, and it does feel influenced by a different culture. He's like trying to move out. Like, it's almost like the other sisters, like the foreign films he's seen, and the intellectual sisters, almost like his films. Really,
yeah. I mean, it's maybe that's why he's set it in this kind of unknown country. It's not just somewhere in Sweden.
Yeah, but I just found that I liked the relationship of the little boy with his aunt and his mum, and the whole idea that she does wander around, and it is disturbing him that his mother is sleeping around, and it's going to be something that's going to be a problem later. There's no way, like, she's setting herself up for a fall later on, because there's no way this is not going to disturb him somehow. You know.
Yeah, and there's nice little vignettes with the boy and the waiter of the hotel and a troop of dwarfs who happen to be in the hotel as well. There's not a lot of guests in the hotel.
Yeah, no, it's got a wonderful feel to the little boy seeing the world, and it's almost like his mother's almost childlike in her needs as well. Like, she can't really communicate in a way that's helpful to people. And it's almost like she's rebelling against her sister because her sister's bright, that she will not engage her intellectual side of her personality.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned communication, because I think that's pretty much the theme of the three films, or lack of communication between people, and a need for communication. Because even though these two characters are sisters, they don't really know how to communicate with each other.
No, they don't at all, and it's and you get a feeling it frustrates the intellectual sister because she wants to.
Yeah.
But her other sister just doesn't seem to want that. It's almost like she's rebelling against it. She doesn't. It's almost like she thinks she's stupid, so she doesn't want to try and engage in her sister's world or her family's world. Like, she'll rebel completely against that. So she'll be sexual and be confident there, and she'll lie with her son topless while her son's sleeping. Just in his underwear and stuff. And it's almost like she's rejecting any kind of intellectual analysis of her behaviour. It's like she's terrified of being left wanting, really.
Yes.
And it's like, how does that affect someone, really? How does it affect people around them? It's a different sort of thing than madness, or someone being a minister and being like very messed up, but still the same thing of someone who can't communicate properly.
Yeah, and
damage they cause.
Yeah, and the fact that Ingrid Thulon's character is a translator, which is obviously the basis of communication between two different languages.
Yeah, obviously a joke that.
Yes.
You know, again, Bergman has
sense
jokes.
of humour. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff with the kid is funny, with the dwarfs and the old man and all the rest of it. And Thulon getting drunk, you know, and trying to engage in the more carnal side of her nature is funny as well. Yeah. And sad, and
she fails at it.
I know, but she's trying, and she's
and
it's kind of moving though, how she's trying and how it's just not working for her. She can't quite get into that. It's just not her.
I mean, I know it's maybe simplistic because it's dwarfs, but you do get a little bit of David Lynch.
Yeah, awfully
in this, because it is kind of off kilter. You know, initially the waiter's kind of relationship with the wee boy, you maybe think there's something a little bit darker going on, but maybe that's just our jaded characters.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that like I've always engaged in this film just as I think it's delightful, even though it's a bit of a darker subject. I just find something about it just gets to me. It gets under my skin. I just think there's something interesting going on in a way that probably doesn't for you, but it's just like, it's just my taste. This thing affects me in a way that...
I mean, again, don't get me wrong, it's a good film, and it's obviously very well made. Sven Nykvist's cinematography is beautiful again. There's actually more of a moving camera, like The Shining, through the kind of corridors of the hotel. Just for me, it's not as engaging as the other two. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of it is to do with taste. There was some Bergman films that you'll be engaged by that won't really do much for me. It's just like some films, there's something about them that they just connect to something in you, and other films don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of cinema.
Yeah. So this one for me, this is one of my underrated favourites. Like, it's one of those films I know that a lot of people don't appreciate as much as I do.
Yeah.
It's just one of those ones. It's like, well, I like it, so tough.
'Cause, I mean, I'll be honest. Out of the 5 that we've looked at together, this would probably be number 5 as far as my favourites.
Yeah. And for me, like, I haven't actually, the 5 I've looked at so far, I've loved all 5. They've all been like ones that I've really appreciated. But there were actually ones I already knew I appreciated before we watched them. They were like these weren't any of my kind of ones I knew I'd be struggling with. I mean, Shame is the one that I'll struggle with, because Shame I found really depressing when I saw it before.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that one.
Yeah.
So.
There are some in the Bergman films that I find I struggle with a bit more.
But can I just ask you a question? Because there's a line later on in the film where Ingrid Thulon's talking to a little boy about how he'll go up north to his grandparents, I think, and he'll go sailing with Uncle Person. And Person was Max von Sydow's character in Winter Light. So do you think that's his uncle? Is it all the same shared universe? Is it like Marvel?
Is the Bergman universe?
Yeah.
I think it's probably just a joke. I think he's just Bergman amusing himself. Like
going sailing with Max von Sydow. Oh,
the boy,
too late.
the boy goes there and he's dead. It's like, oh well.
Yes, that's like
and you find a suicide note. I did not want to go sailing.
Yes, that's what pushed me over the edge. Forget China.
Yeah. This kid is annoying. He's hyperactive. I can't take it. Yeah, who knows?
A nice idea.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, for me, this one's delightful anyway. But again, one thing I want to bring up is the idea of what's the theme of this one, because it does seem to be a case of it's like, how do you exist in your life without the idea of God? If there's no God, there's no nothing. It's just you, yourself, in a world that makes no sense. This is the one that's kind of embracing that idea and saying, how do you live without the concept of an afterlife, the concept of belief?
Yeah, it's creating your own moral universe, and if that happens to be picking up strange men or kind of hiding in your work, then so be it. That's your own moral universe you've created.
Yeah. Again, I think that's one of the reasons why this film gets to me, is the idea of that's what's going on throughout it. You can feel it in the camera movements and the way they're acting and interacting. And I find that a kind of moving theme, really. Yeah. Probably because I'm not really a believer. So to me, that kind of hooks up to my personal existence.
Or maybe because it's a proto-Kubrick.
Yeah, that too. But I think I feel it come through the film. That idea has come through the film. Like, there's something in it. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much. There's something there that is going under the surface, really.
Yeah. Oh, your points are valid.
Of course they are, I make them. Why do you think you have a problem with it? Why do you think that you don't connect with it as much?
I'm not actually sure, because I'm a huge fan of Ingrid Thulon, but again, I don't really find her character, I don't find either of the characters that engaging, or, like I said, a hook in to their stories the way the other films hook me in and the characters hook me in. I don't know what it is.
It just something just
can't really explain it.
Yeah, it just doesn't really hook into you though.
Yeah, but again, it's a very good film, but it's not a Bergman film that I would revisit that of.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, we all have those films. So we're talking now about the whole trilogy then, what we feel of the trilogy, like as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing trilogy. Again, I think it's about communication, the lack thereof, or the need for better communication. I mean, calling it the Faith Trilogy is probably, people might be expecting more religious stuff in it, but it's more a broad term rather than specifically, when people hear faith, they automatically say religion, but it's not necessarily about that specifically.
Yeah, I also think, talking about communication, it's also about the abuse of communication. It's all about lying, intentional lying because you're scared of something.
Well, that goes back to the father character in Through a Glass Darkly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was another thing that goes through, is the idea that people of authority being like professional liars.
Yeah.
That is there in Bergman a lot. That from like Wild Strawberries onward, it's this idea that people who you're meant to respect, you maybe shouldn't trust so much because they're kind of dodgy. And
the kind of persona that we put out to the world is obviously not the persona that we actually have. And again, it's just the illusion that we project for other people.
Yeah. It's like a facade that we have. It's kind of half true but not true. It's something that's shifting really as the world shifts around us.
And again, you have the through line, which you have in pretty much all of Bergman stuff, is the role of the artist and the struggle between engaging with life and just viewing life at a distance.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed since we've been watching these films is, especially seeing them in the great Blu-ray transfers from Criterion.
Yeah, we probably haven't mentioned the fact that they do look gorgeous.
Yep. But the thing is, when you think of Bergman, you just think of austere films about God or something, or Swedish nature. And there's actually, the five I've watched so far, there's been a big range of experiences. They're not insular to like something that's very dry or dull or anything. It actually, his reputation kind of does him a disservice because there's a lot of range to his subject matters and his characters. A lot of his characters are very different from each other. They're not all the same.
I mean, I do think Bergman is on that list of intimidating directors for people who aren't familiar with his work. But if you actually start watching his films, you'll realise, like you say, that reputation perhaps isn't really true.
Yeah, because it's a simplification of some of his films. Because they just think, Bergman got famous because he did the chess, the guy playing chess with death, and he's a depressed Swedish director.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's as far as I go. And it's like, no, that's the cliche. That's the facade.
Yeah, because The Seventh Seal is funny as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of funny films throughout his career, but because he's thought of as a serious director, he can't be funny, even though he is.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got a kind of reputation that isn't quite there in film. The same way that Kubrick is viewed as one of the coldest directors ever, and you actually look at the films and it's like, no, there's a lot of empathy there. It's not quite what you're saying it is. So it's
the same with Cronenberg as well.
Yeah.
He's viewed as cold and kind of mechanical.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things. I think it's one of those things, if someone actually creates characters that present the world as complicated, they're eventually viewed as cold and misanthropic, really. And you can be misanthropic, but actually have a lot of time for humans. You can just see the flaws. They're desperate flaws. And
again, like I said earlier, I don't think Bergman gets enough credit as being a visual storyteller as well.
Yeah, I think that's
the Blu-ray has really enhanced that, because the shot compositions in these films are really amazing. So even if you perhaps don't really get what's going on, from a script standpoint or ideas, the visual storytelling is still there.
And also the sound. One thing, because the sounds of all these films have been like spruced up, they're much clearer. And the sound design throughout the films, like going from lots of design to silence, that's something you don't notice so much if you see it like on DVD or VHS, but when you actually see it in the Blu-ray and it's been done properly, you actually experience it, and it actually helps pace the film out more and helps you see the images more better because the sound design is so clear.
Yeah, because like we said before, I mean, my first exposure to Bergman was probably on a black and white television, late at night in BBC Two. So to see them in Blu-ray, it's quite amazing and a gift.
Yeah. Luckily, most of his films were in black and white anyway, so you didn't lose colour for most of them. I mean, it is great because I saw most of them on DVD like years ago. I think some of those ones that were released like on various distributors.
Tartan released a lot of them in DVD.
Yeah, and I bought a lot of those, and I got some from Love Film, and it's just like one of those things. It's nice to actually be able to watch them properly and have a proper transfer and actually see them the way they should be seen.
Yeah. Because again, the great thing about this series that we're doing is it does make you want to go watch more and revisit them more. Whereas I think if we didn't have this series, it might have taken a bit longer to go back and revisit his work.
I think I was kind of starting to go towards, I'm going to have to watch this. I'm going to start. I used this as a propellant to go do it, but I think I was kind of going there anyway, really, personally.
Because again, if you can pick up the box set, it's a must buy.
Yeah, because not even the film, you also got tons of extras.
Yeah.
The box itself is beautiful looking.
The book is stunning with photographs in it.
Yeah, it's just like an amazing package. It's one of Criterion's greatest packages ever. That and Godzilla.
Of course. And if you're just kind of used to Max von Sydow and his Hollywood work or English language film work, which is amazing as well, this box set will really show you why he's arguably in the top 10 greatest actors of all time.
But it does not undervalue his performance as Ming the Merciless.
Of course not, because they still treated that as if he was in a Bergman film.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed it. We don't want to drag this on forever. I think we've made our points. So we're going to be back soon with another Bergman collection. I think we've got ideas now what we're going to do next. So, but we're not going to tell you what they are in case we change our mind.
Yes, then we'll just look like idiots.
Yeah.
More so than usual.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back soon with some other ones. So bye for now.
Bye.